Thank you very much. Dr. Greer, you mentioned that there was a very large amount of money that could not be accounted for in the Pentagon. The Pentagon still cannot be audited. They hope that they may have books in several years in the future that could be audited.
They will not be.
It's hard to believe that in today's world that, and you know, they spend about half of all the money we vote to spend in the Congress. And we don't spend 1% of our time in the Congress talking about this expenditure. There's a day or so, once a year, when we debate this on the floor and pass this bill. And this spends about half of all the money that we vote to spend. It's just incredible to me that it's been this long and they still do not have books that can be audited. You mentioned anti-gravity devices. I'd like to know a little bit more about that. I know that this is one of the things that Stephen Hawking is trying to harmonize, relativity, gravity, and so forth. Many people believe that he may be the best mind in a millennium, the Britisher who...
Yeah, right. Well, I think that actually there are two tracks in physics. There's the track you'd find at MIT, and there's the track you'd find at the Naval Research Labs. I'm friends with the third highest ranking scientist there, and some other folks, as well as some physicists down near the Redstone Arsenal and the Marshall Space Flight Center. I can assure you that they have used very high voltage systems at low input of power, meaning low total energy consumption, to create what's called a poynting vector into space. This is tapping what's called the 0-point energy field. The renowned defense journalist Nick Cook wrote a book about this called The Hunt for 0 Point. And without getting in too much into the physics of this, I will just say that studies on this matter began actually in the 1920s with Townsend Brown, who later became key to the RAND Corporation. But also, I should point out that in Germany, the Kowsky Frost Experiment, which we'll go into on Friday, using crystalline structures, and now we're using nanocrystalline materials like you find in transformers to create a electromagnetic field, if you will, around an object that gives it lift. And there are classified aspects of some of our known aircraft, and I talked to Admiral Wilson about this, such as the B-2 Stealth, that involve this. But the ones that look like they're circular, the so-called flying saucers, there have been prototypes of this for a number of years, and about October 1954, from sources I have who have been in what's called the vault at the National Security Agency and other facilities, we really figured out gravity control, and which means that we can do lifter systems such as the ones that people report in UFOs.
I'd like to reserve